Hey everyone, it's Saoirse, and I'm barely hanging in there, but I am here. I've been away for a while because we just lived through two back-to-back major hurricanes in my hometown. The first was Helene, and that caused catastrophic flooding especially to areas on the beach, like where my mom lives. And then we had Milton, and with that, we got more catastrophic flooding, this time mostly from rain instead of storm surge. And we got over 100-mile-per-hour winds, which destroyed a lot of things in the city. And at the beginning of that hurricane, the second one, my kitten that I had recently adopted, who had already lived through one deadly virus, came down with another one. And I took her to the emergency vet right when all of the evacuation stuff was going on, when they're telling people you need to get out now if you're going to get out. And we found ourselves in the emergency vet all night, and she stayed until the next day. And then I had to make the very difficult decision. Do I pick everything up and leave in these last few hours that we have before it's too late to leave? So my inclination is always to stay. I don't think I've ever evacuated as a Floridian in my entire life, and I've lived through a lot of hurricanes, but suddenly there was something more than me and my chaos addiction and my desire to witness the destruction of my home, if that's what is going to happen. You know, suddenly I had this other thing, which was this kitten who you can probably hear. There's a lot of cat action going on. She has a lizard corpse right now, which she is so fond of. And so I had to put this kitten, Georgia, and my cat, Bromley, ahead of my desire to stay and, like, hold my house together with my bare hands. So I chose to evacuate, and when I did, I took some things with me, and you're somewhat lucky with a hurricane because you have time. Typically, you know that it's coming at least a couple days before. So I had already packed. Like right before we went to the emergency vet, I was packing in case we evacuated. So I'd packed a suitcase and I had packed 2 bins, like storage bins, with pretty much everything that I would be devastated to lose. Things that are very, very irreplaceable. Memories of my cats, Caddy and Springer, and like my childhood blanket, and I still sleep with that every night. What else? A few signed things. Just a lot of sentimental stuff. All of my journals, a huge stack of journals, which like absolutely can't be replicated and really shouldn't, and should probably be destroyed at some point. But if I lost that entire record of my life, it would be pretty sad. So, along with all of these things, I brought some books, of course. And as somebody with apparently what constitutes a library, which I think is over 1,000 books, correct me if I'm wrong, I have well over 1,000 books, because I have these 3 shelves here. I have 5 in front of me, and then I have a whole room that is the library, which is floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. So how do you choose out of all of those which books you're going to bring when you evacuate for an event like this, which was, by the way, they're saying like once in 100 years event. The weather people kept saying, listen, if you live in Tampa Bay, you've never seen this. In your lifetime, you have never ever seen this. Because the last time was 104 years ago, something like that. The last time that a hurricane of this magnitude directly hit Tampa Bay. And actually, in the end, I think it went this much south of us. So I don't even know if they're saying it was a direct hit. I don't even want to think about it. I can't get across the level of stress that everybody has been under here. And I imagine everybody in North Carolina and the other states who had really catastrophic flooding and landslides from Helene. And so, you know, North Carolina, Western North Carolina is my other home, and I spent a lot of time there, and I have family there, and so that was already, you know, extremely panic-inducing and sad, you know, causing a lot of grief. And then to have this other hurricane happen right after, I just feel like so many of us in the Southeast have not been able to, like, catch a breath recently. And it's, yeah. So to have the cat medical emergency on top of that was a lot. And I'll get into that a little bit more, but I'll show you the books that I brought with me when I evacuated. And a lot of these will probably be similar to, I did a recent video on books that I have multiple editions of. So one book that I brought with me is really sentimental, and it's The Fellowship of the Ring, my copy that I carried around when I was in 3rd grade, I believe. And out of all of the Lord of the Rings books, I picked this one to evacuate with because this is the one that I had signed by Elijah Wood. So that was really special. And then I took this from Arthur's Seat, which is the book that we published in my master's program. And we all had a piece in there. And I have a few copies of this, but I chose the one that I had some of the people sign. It was hard to get everybody to sign it because we were putting this out during the summer of 2020, and everything was locked down, so you couldn't really see people. But it has, like, here's my piece, which I signed because I was working on my signature. I think all the time about, like, having a different pen name and how much that matters and how I'm always kind of changing my mind about it, so. But anyway, this I didn't want to lose. And then out of my many, many copies of Villette that I showed you in the last video, I picked the one that I annotated. So this one has, you know, my notes in the margins. And that's something that would be really sad to lose because this took a long time, you know, to read through this and to thoughtfully make notes about it, and to also, all the tabs are like all the quotes that I wanted to save, and yeah, that's very special to me. Oh, she's still playing with the lizard corpse. And then the bell jar, which was also in the last video, another one where I annotated it and just don't want to lose that. And like I said, having over 1,000 books, it can feel like, oh, what's the point of, like, if you can't take them all, what's the point of picking any of them? But I do actually have this section on my shelf up here that is mostly, like, my favorite books and the books that I would not want to lose. So it wasn't that hard to find all of them. They were pretty much all in that section. And listen, I'm having a lot of thoughts about, like, I don't want to live here. I don't want to live through another hurricane season like this. But when you live in a place where there are natural disasters, I think a lot of people kind of have their stuff set up so that they can grab it and go if they need to. And now I have this list of everything that would go into those evacuation bins if I did this again. And it's good to know that the books that I would save are in one place, you know. It's just one less thing to think about, because I can't even tell you the just scrambled mess inside of my skull while I was trying to decide. I mean, I was truly pacing back and forth from the door to the other side of the house, just going, am I going to leave? Am I going to stay? I think I'm going to leave. No, I think I'm going to stay. It's probably going to be better for everybody if we just all stay, like if we don't move the cats. And then I thought, no, we're not safe here. There is a gigantic oak tree hanging over the house that could go at any second during winds that strong. So just back and forth, and it's a good thing that I had packed all the stuff to evacuate before that started going on. And then, of course, I brought Perks of Being a Wallflower, and this is, I have multiple editions that I had him sign, but this is the most special one, the first of my Perks editions, and this means a lot to me. So do not want to lose that. And then I have, this is a collection. It's like a Scottish anthology that was new when I submitted for it in 2020. Was it 2020? Yeah. I submitted for it, and it was the first edition that they ever put out. And I've read some from this before, but I have a piece in there, and I don't want to lose that. I don't have a lot of books that have my writing in print. I have some things online, and even more things that are just on my computer wasting away, that are unpublished. So didn't want to lose that. And then this is kind of interesting and definitely special because there is only one of them in the whole world, and I have it. There is a book printing machine, or at least there was in 2016, at, oh god, is it Powell's, the giant bookstore in Portland, Oregon? So you can just email them your file of your book, and like a cover that you want to put on it, and they put it in this machine. Like, this machine just prints and binds the book, and you get it. And it's not like the size or shape that I would want for like a real book that I published, but this was really special because this is the first book I ever wrote, and I've never done anything with it, like submitting it anywhere, but it's called Lucy Illuminated. And yeah, I printed this on a trip to Seattle and Portland with my mom way back in the day. And it is just, yeah, it's very cool. That's very cool to see. It was cool to see that for the first time, like my writing printed and bound like that, even though it was just me doing it, so it's like a vanity publishing thing. But it got me feeling inspired. I was writing so much back then, from like end of 2015 to through 2020 when I was finishing grad school. I was writing so much, and then everything kind of like imploded, and it's been very, very hard to write, going through so much grief and trauma and loss and just stress all the time for the past few years. It is hard for me, at least, to get into the headspace of like creating and feeling like there's a point in putting anything out there, which is so sad, and I'm working on it. And National Novel Writing Month is coming up, so yeah, I'm gonna have to write. And then the last book that I brought with me is the Hiker Yearbook from 2018. This is the Appalachian Trail Hiker Yearbook, and I don't know if they're still doing it. I heard this rumor that they're not making this anymore. It was one guy that was doing this massive project every year for all the hikers. You would submit your photo and trail name and get in there. And then, oh my god, I pressed another flower. That's a daffodil, I think. Is this fun? Does anybody notice that this happens in quite a few videos where I open a book and there's a flower pressed in it? That I have no memory of doing that one. Why do I not write where they're from? Because I literally could not tell you when or where that's from. That could be from any country. It's obviously from springtime somewhere. That could be from recently in San Francisco this spring. I have no idea. Okay. It really threw me off, and I'm mad at myself for not writing it down, but it is still delightful to come across those. But this is my photo in the hiker yearbook. And this is super special. You know, one of a kind type of thing that would be, I'm guessing, hard to get my hands on if I lost it. It's like hard to get another copy. There's my finishing photo on Katahdin. So that is all the books. And then I thought it would be fun to read a poem that I wrote right after the hurricane. It was actually the day that I came back to St. Pete after evacuating. So I stayed away for, let's see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so 4 nights. And then I came back and the power was still off, but thank goodness after, 4 or 5 days of the power being off, it came back the night I arrived. So we have this community poetry group that writes every Sunday, and we get a prompt. We go to a coffee shop, and we have this prompt to write, and then we share, and then we have a second portion where we share like whatever we want. It doesn't have to be from the prompt. And so we had this lovely day where we went to USF St. Pete, which is where I got my bachelor's degree, and the campus is absolutely beautiful. It's right on the water, and we're all dealing with the fact that like nobody's got power. Everybody had to throw away all the food in their fridge. We did not have potable water for quite a few days. We did not have safe water. Luckily, we got it back faster than many places have. I know there are places in North Carolina, I think they still don't have it. Some places still don't have power. And so yeah, it was just a few of us that day, and we just came together, and one of the prompts was write about something that can be fixed or needed to be fixed. And so I thought about the hurricane and all the damage that it did, and I thought about it from my perspective of before the hurricane and imagining what it would do. So I will just read you that, and then that will be it. And I hope my low energy, sad sack demeanor isn't too depressing. Georgia's just having the best time with, I don't even know if she has the lizard corpse anymore. But she's absolutely zany, which is really good to see. So before I start this, I'll tell you real quick. She was diagnosed with FIP, which is feline infectious peritonitis. It is a very bad virus that some cats can get. They basically, like a lot of cats, will get a form of a coronavirus, and then some cats have the genetic inclination to mutate it into FIP. Not all cats will have that genetic thing that does that, but this little girl, she just gets all the bad luck, sadly. But the good luck is that she is still here and doing very well. But she spiked a crazy 105 fever at night. I took her into the vet and was sent to another emergency vet because the first one was closing for the hurricane. They did all kinds of tests on her, kept her overnight, and basically this virus was a death sentence until very, very recently. People are finding out that there's a cure, and it involves a very lengthy treatment that is 84 days of treatment and then 84 days of observation. And it's very hard. It can be very hard to get medication for it because the FDA only recently approved a certain form of it, and they're just being jerks about like letting people have it and educating vets about it. So that's the backstory. So this poem is called "The Shoulders Are Open and All Lanes Are Eastbound." My home, but with the windows boarded, just in case. My home, but with the breakers switched off, just in case. My home, but with books stacked on counters and flood bags by the door and everything unplugged, just in case. My home, but with me leaving it, just in case. And then I'm gone, Cat floated in the car, one last desperate look at this wooden house, one last thought about 100-mile-per-hour winds. If it has to blow away, I think at least the most important things are in this car. If I return to nothing but sticks, it can be fixed, but if I don't get out before the bridges close, I might lose the fluffy kitten on the seat beside me. She's what needs fixing right now. Her fever only just coming down, so I cross the bridge as whitecaps lap at the guardrails, and don't know whether my car is hydroplaning or being pushed by the wind. But I clutch the wheel as my best friend's voice on the phone tells me I'm doing the right thing. I'm controlling what I can. I can't stop the storm. Can't surround my house with a protective bubble, can't hold its roof on with my own hands, but I can drive 100 miles east, stand on a stranger's doorstep in my raincoat, holding my kitten, and tell them it's me, the one who needs the life-saving drug. So that's what I do. Follow them inside, leaving my other cat in the car with windows cracked. I watch these strangers hold my kitten down and inject her with a drug not yet approved by the FDA. And I try to retain everything they say, rotate injection sites, and know what she weighs, and do all of this each day for 84 days. Okay, this is something I can do. I thank them and drive to our evacuation house. It's next to Disney, and I don't know what that means, but it feels magical. We watch the news for hours. Tornadoes tearing houses apart, downed power lines burning homes to the ground, the hurricane moving closer to my house, with its windows boarded, and its books on counters. When the weatherman, bent double against the gales, says that the storm has passed St. Pete and left my city in darkness without power, I go to sleep. Because the cats are okay. And I've fixed what I can, and everything else can wait for the light of day. Yeah, so that's about how it felt. Just having to switch off the part of me that cares so deeply about protecting my home and just make a decision, which is one of the hardest things in the world for me, to make a decision when I don't, especially when I don't know the outcome and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I really didn't know if it was better to stay here or take them somewhere else. And she still has the lizard corpse. It's so good to hear her running around. I'm sure you're hearing the bell jingling a lot. She, I thought I was going to lose her that night. And she came back to life with this drug. And now we're able to get it prescribed from the vet. And it's actually a pill now, so we don't have to keep doing the shot. Because, picture me evacuated with all my little things and on the floor trying to inject this kitten with a needle that burns. It burns them. And I got, she bit me. She bit me when I did it, and I ended up having to go to urgent care near Disney and get a tetanus shot and get antibiotics, and then she was on antibiotics and I was on them, and I got a shot because I gave her a shot, and it was just like, I was laughing at that point. It was just so much. But, we're all okay, and what I have to deal with now is the repercussion of the hurricane, which is my house partially flooded. It seems like the lower rooms in my house got a lot of water, and it had drained by the time I got here, so I didn't know the full damage, but I have a very severe mold problem now, so I've had people rip out the walls in basically half my house, and they had to stop because they just said at this point you don't have a game plan for if you're going to need to move out, and you might have to move out, so we can't keep going and ripping out the living room because you can't close the door on the living room, and I can't have the cats going into the walls. So it is extremely overwhelming. I've had to all of us in this city and in every area impacted by the hurricanes have had to be like, oh, we can't keep anything in this life. We can't hold on to, belongings the way that we thought we could. They get damaged by water and we gotta get rid of them. And then having to deal with the house being damaged and not knowing what's going to happen with it and how bad the mold is it killing us, did we stop it soon enough, can I repair all the, me with my walls, my fancy walls, I did so much to this house and it's been ripped out, and, so I'm just trying to, focus on what matters, and now I have to get ready to write for the next month because of NaNoWriMo. So anyway, thank you all for watching, and I hope you are all doing wonderful. See you next time.